Hey guys, what's up? It's Raven and welcome to episode 1 of a brand new series that I'm doing here on my channel all about investing in real estate. I mentioned this in my last couple of videos, but in case you missed it, yes, I am house hunting again. You guys saw the whole house hunting process when I was looking for this house, and I ended up building this house from the ground up, and I showed you guys the whole entire process of that. And I'm actually still currently doing a series about furnishing and remodeling this house that I live in, but I'm starting a new series about my investment properties. I'm not moving, I'm not even done with this house, but I want to get into investing in real estate. So I'm planning on buying a property very, very soon. And even beyond that, I'm actually planning on buying several properties in the near future to build up my portfolio. So in this video, I'm going to show you the first 6 properties that I looked at and just kind of give you guys the rundown and my thoughts and my feedback as someone who is new to this. Okay, I just want to put that disclaimer out there. I am very new to this. I'm hoping that this series will basically be a learning experience for the both of us. I'm just taking you guys along for the journey of me just kind of freshly getting into this and learning as I go. And I know you guys probably have a lot of questions about this whole process. What exactly am I even doing? Why am I doing it? What are kind of the more technical ins and outs of the whole entire thing? And don't worry, I am going to be doing a whole separate video that goes into a lot more detail. That's actually going to be my next video right after this one. So just stay tuned for that if you do have questions or you do kind of want to hear the whole background story. And like I said, just more details about this process and about investing in real estate in general. But for now, let's just get straight into the houses because that's the fun part. So I'm working with a realtor and he started off by showing me a bunch of houses online, sending me the online listings. I looked through probably about 30 houses and I picked out 12 of them that I liked, that I was interested in actually going to view in person. And then by the end of it all, only 6 of them were basically available to view because the other half of them were already spoken for. If you don't know, I do live in Austin, Texas, and I am house hunting in the Austin area. And the Austin market is crazy right now. Things are moving fast. So just in the 24 hours that it took for me to send my favorites over to the realtor, like half of them were like already gone. So we started off with these first 6 houses. And these 6 houses are within a certain budget that I want to stick to, certain locations that I want to stick to, and also I am specifically looking for houses that need to be updated, need to be fixed up. I specifically want a project like that. So house number 1, this is the very first house that I have looked at, and I also didn't really fully know what I wanted. This house was cute, it was definitely somewhat what I'm looking for, but kind of the main thing about this house is that it really didn't need too much work, and I felt like I might want to take on a little bit of a bigger project possibly. This house definitely did need some work, like the kitchen needed to be updated. I would say, things like the backsplash tile could be switched out for something more modern. Even the countertops, possibly the cabinets could be zhuzhed up, maybe just painted. I would also probably update the bathrooms because some aspects of the bathrooms were a little bit outdated, but the floors throughout the whole entire home were already just freshly replaced. It had a really nice carpet, really nice flooring in the kitchen, and you could see that all of the walls were just freshly repainted. So overall, there were a few cosmetic changes that I could do to this house, but at the same time, certain things were already updated, so it just wouldn't be much of a project. I do think that the outside of the house could use some extra curb appeal. It had kind of a weird patio, and just kind of, updating the landscaping and making it look nicer from the outside could also be part of it. But like I said, in general, this is just the first house that I'm looking at. I'm not gonna jump on the first house that I'm looking at anyway. I wanted to look at the other houses and kind of compare and contrast. So then we went on to the second house, and this house was an example of a house that had already just recently been flipped by somebody else. You could see that someone clearly just went in there and renovated it, except they kind of did a bad job. When you first glance at it, it looks kind of nice and updated, and oh, they've added these modern finishes. But when you really look deeper at it, it just wasn't really done with quality work and attention to detail, and not everything that needed to be updated was updated. The kitchen looks nice and modern, but the cabinets were installed all crooked. When you look closely, the knobs were were all off center. The walls and the ceilings throughout the home were clearly old and kind of like cracking or just needed to be refinished or patched. They had done things like left the old broken cracking doors, but just repainted over them white and switched out the doorknobs. Fresh doorknobs, but not fresh door. And that type of rushed like lipstick on a pig work was done throughout the whole house. There was also a sunken living room in this house, which is just like an old outdated style, and nobody likes that anymore. So that would really need to be filled in. You would pour concrete to fill in the floor to bring everything up to the same level, but then you would also have to adjust all the doors and windows and everything else to accommodate for that. So that's a pretty big renovation. And then there was also this stone wall going around the living room, which I didn't mind it. I think there's a way that you can definitely still make that look updated and make it look nice, but it had like this weird built-in outdated cabinet that was just kind of weirdly off center. I would take that out and I would kind of adjust the stone in some kind of way to just make it look more modern. Overall, the living room to me felt like it needed a good amount of work, and that seemed like too big of a project, especially for my first property. And the idea of just kind of going back and redoing recent work that somebody just did badly just wasn't very enticing to me. So then the third property was actually a townhome in one of those like townhome communities where they all look the same from the outside, and probably in this specific one, they probably all look the same on the inside as well. I believe these were built in like 2007. So the thing about this one, because it is a townhome, because of the type of community that it's in, it had like high HOA fees and just like high taxes, and overall like the financial aspect of it, like the math wasn't really mathing for what I was trying to do. And also, even though it was built in the 2000s and it definitely looked outdated, it didn't look old and run down. It didn't necessarily look like it needed to be updated. Things were not broken and cracking and falling down. It just looked a little bit like out of style, but still in good condition. I think that someone could easily move into this townhome just as it is and be perfectly happy with it. So it just didn't really feel like the right type of fixer-upper project. And like I said, with the financial aspect just not really making sense, it just didn't seem like it would be worth it. So we really didn't spend too much time looking at this townhome. I just knew off the bat that this type of townhome in this type of community just wasn't really the type of project that I was looking for. So we moved on over to the fourth property, and this one was a really cute little house. I really loved the neighborhood. Neighborhood was super cute and inviting, and right off the bat, first impressions walking in, this really looked like the type of property and the type of project that I am wanting to take on. Overall, the house looked like it was in good condition, had good bones, you know, nothing, you know, terribly wrong with it, but just needed to be cosmetically updated. So like redoing the whole kitchen, new cabinets, new countertops, new appliances, new light fixtures, just so that everything looks a lot more fresh and modern and updated. Little things like ripping out the little half divider wall, but not big things like ripping out full walls and redoing, you know, the layout of the whole house. Maybe things like updating flooring and trim, and of course like repainting. Also, the bathrooms were kind of outdated, so I could update the cabinetry and the bathroom fixtures and light fixtures in there. So I was really liking this house. It felt like the perfect balance of enough work but not too much work. But there was one weird thing about this house. It smelled like pee, and I think it was cat pee. I have a cat. If y'all have cats, y'all know that cat pee is notorious for having a certain smell and for lingering. And the fact that like we couldn't tell where it was coming from, and it was pretty strong in the area like by the staircase, that was kind of alarming, because if we can't get that smell out, then that's gonna be a problem. So I don't know, but I definitely kept that one on my list and just kind of kept it in mind as far as an example of like what I'm trying to look for. Moving on to the fifth house, this one was more similar to the second house, the badly flipped house, because this house had also obviously just been flipped in a sense or updated in a sense, except they did do a better job on this house. That other one, like it just was poor quality. This one, like the quality of the work that they did do was better. There was just some areas like in the bathrooms where you could see that it was either rushed or unfinished, or there was more that they should have done to kind of match the part that they updated to the part that they didn't update. So there wasn't as many things in this house that would need to be redone. Like the kitchen, for example, was already done really nicely. I probably would leave that alone. But the outside of this house definitely needed some work. I felt like the paint choices were very strange. Like the color that they chose for the trim on the house and the color that they chose for the front door. The front door itself, which was like a new door, but an old style and a really weird blue color. So I would definitely like switch out that door, switch out the colors, repaint the outside of the house just to make it look more cohesive. But one thing that my realtor noticed and pointed out about this house is that there might be some bigger underlying hidden issues. Like he noticed in the water heater, water tank closet thing that there was like something weird going on with the tank sinking into the floor and just things like that that could end up being big issues. And I definitely don't want to have to deal with stuff like that. I just want to do the fun cosmetic work. I know that I'm not going to be able to completely avoid issues like that, but I would like to try to, if at all possible. And then the sixth and last house that we looked at on this day, which yes, we did look at all these houses in a row on the same day. So it was actually kind of nice to be able to compare them back to back. But this last house was looking very promising. Again, it looked like the type of project that I want to take on. The only thing that stood out immediately about this house was the location, because it was right next to a commercial like strip mall area, and that's really not great. The other side of it was like a nice quiet neighborhood, but like right here was a strip mall, and I know a lot of people don't like that. So this house felt like it was in decent condition. Again, no huge, you know, structural issues or things like that, but it was just really, really ugly. Like really ugly. I walked to this house and I was like, I know I saw the pictures online, but like, dang, like the tile and the colors and the paint colors and the wallpaper and just everything. I was like, oh Lord, I don't know who decorated this house, but it definitely needs to be completely redone as far as the, like I said, cosmetic work, the aesthetic, just making it look cute, doing that surface work of completely redoing the kitchens, new cabinets, new countertops, possibly new appliances, redoing the flooring and the paint and the light fixtures, like in every single room, bathrooms included, switching out the fixtures, you know, just redesigning the whole aesthetic of this house. Even the outside of the house, I wasn't a big fan of the overall like color scheme of the garage door and the front door, maybe even possibly switching out the garage door entirely, painting the front door a different color, of course doing landscaping. So yeah, overall this whole entire house on the inside and outside was just very ugly and it needed a lot of work, but that's perfect because that is what I am looking to do. I was almost wanting to move forward with this house and like work towards making an offer and everything because it just really seemed like the right kind of project. But my realtor stopped me because he was like, hey, this location with it being right here by the strip mall and the price and everything and the amount of money you would have to put into it to remodel it. He started crunching the numbers. He started comparing to, you know, the surrounding neighborhood. And he just was like, I just wouldn't recommend it. The numbers, like again, the math is not mathing. And I think this location is going to be a problem. And the realtor that I'm working with is very experienced. He has done what I'm currently trying to do several times before. So I definitely trust his advice. So I was like, you know what, you're right. Let me, you know, slow my roll. These are just the first 6 houses. This is day 1 of looking at houses. So let me just calm down. I don't need to make an offer on anything today. So I did not find the perfect house, but like I just said, that was just day 1 of looking. I already actually have a whole list of houses that I need to go look at. And I am going to be looking at who knows how many houses before I find my perfect one to start off with. And luckily I have built up a whole team of people, basically experts in this field, who are going to be able to help me make the right decisions when it comes to choosing the right house and doing the remodeling and everything like that. But I will go into more of those details in my next video. Like I said, I'm going to be doing another video just breaking everything down, going into a lot more detail about this actual process, what it means to be investing in real estate, how I'm personally going to be doing it, what my plans and aspirations are. So definitely stay tuned for that video. In the meantime, like I said, I just wanted to show you the fun part of looking at my first few houses, but stay tuned for a lot more videos like this because like I said, I have a lot more houses to look at. But yeah, that's everything for now. See you guys in episode 2. Bye.